Hey, Rich. Have you been getting some questions lately about is anything changing in the Naples area real estate market?
Not more than once or twice a day. Yeah,
Okay, maybe we should talk about
we,
that
we
and
should.
help answer some of those questions.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome back. I'm Terry with MVP Realty.
I'm Rich with MVP Realty.
And as we were just kind of queuing up there, we get questions probably every single day from customers who are here and customers who are making plans to come here to Florida to work on a real estate purchase or a sale.
Right.
And they really want to know what's going on. Is anything changing in the market? Any market dynamics evolving?
Right.
Is there maybe more hope for them?
Right.
If they're the seller, they want the market to stay strong. If they're a buyer, they want to make sure they have opportunity to actually get good value and purchase a home.
Right. Is it still as crazy as what it was, a few months back, or what's happening?
And it really was a very, robust market, really strong, and the pace of that market depleted our inventory to historic lows.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's the baseline that people are experiencing or remembering, that we've been at historic low inventory, multiple offer bids, all kinds of, as you said, just fast paced. If you didn't know about a listing before it got on the market, it was gone by the time it actually hit the multiple listing service. Is any of that changing? And maybe in some ways it is. And there are some things that we see trends continuing, and we should kind of talk about both.
Right.
Now, there maybe are some differences too between resale and new construction.
Well, there is, and we were able to, even when it was going crazy, we were still able to help our customers find the right property for them. It may not have been in their first choice neighborhood. It may have been in a neighborhood that they had no idea existed. But we kind of knew with working with them what their interests were, and we were able to help them either with a resale, or a lot of times we ended up going with a new construction, and that they had the flexibility to wait. So we were able to help them out, and because the inventory was so low, it was getting a little tight there, but we were able to do it.
Right. Well, let's talk about resales first and inventory. I think the first moderating trend that we have noticed is that there is an uptick. It's not a gusher of inventory, but an uptick in available inventory in the Southwest Florida market, and that's probably good for everybody. It means that buyers are maybe confident to go out and look, and if there's not enough property, it has something, a dampening effect even on the sellers who are trying to sell in terms of the concern and kind of lack of hope of buyers, and they may withdraw from the market and say, I'm going to wait. So I think this is bringing serious buyers into the market and is helping serious sellers to understand where market value is, and prices are still ticking up.
Right. Some people are waiting or have waited for the price to come down, and they may have been a little disappointed. So if you're thinking that, well, maybe now with more inventory, the prices are coming down, they're actually not. They're staying up there. They may not be pricing them as high as they once were, but they're still trending up.
The trend is still trending up because we still have more demand than we have supply. But the good news is the supply is improving.
It is.
So if you are looking to buy in particular, this is not a bad time to consider looking again, because it's also a time when the people who are looking are serious buyers. The people who maybe were here for the winter in their seasonal getaway, who kind of flood the market with lots of showings, and maybe if I find something I'd like to change from renting to buying. A lot of those people have gone home if they're going to go home.
That's right.
And so if you really want to go see a property, you usually can maybe have a little more breathing room to go get to see it before it's gone. And that helps. And I think the other thing is that we are seeing statistically more price decreases in the market in the last month or month and a half than what we saw the last couple of quarters.
Sure, because the sellers were being very aggressive there for a while.
And sometimes still are.
And sometimes still are, and then they're realizing, well, wait a minute, maybe I can't be just that aggressive right now. Because a lot of the buyers are saying, well, I'm going to buy something that I like, that I feel comfortable with paying, and I don't want to get into this bidding war, that type of thing. So some of the buyers are being a lot more realistic of knowing that they have to pay more, but they're not going to be, in a frenzy trying to get whatever they can. So sellers, beware that it's not as crazy as it once was.
Right. And so there are some of those price decreases for sure. And there are some properties, but not all, where the days on market are at least measurable as opposed to invisible.
Right.
Right. But I have to kind of temper that with saying that in some desirable communities, when it is a really well-positioned home, perhaps its location even within the neighborhood, the lot that it's on, the view, whether it's the private view or the water view that is preferred in that neighborhood, those homes go very quickly. And we are still experiencing and have ourselves with our customers multiple offer situations and price escalation. And the escalation clause has not been put away for those very desirable properties. People may not make that like extra high bid, but they'll put in an escalation clause and say, if that's what it's going to take, I'm ultimately ready to go higher.
I don't want to lose the deal over $500 or $1,000. So, so keep me in the game.
Right. And so maybe the increment for the escalation is realistic. It might be, I'll pay 500 more or 1,000 more than the other best offer. But the actual escalation cap can still be several thousands or tens of thousands of dollars over the original asking price. And so if you're in contention for one of those properties, don't be surprised if we're not still talking about multiple offer situations and potentially escalation clauses coming into effect. But for a large part of the market, we're seeing open houses again. People want to show their home. They want to make sure that the buyers have an opportunity to see that they may have a competitive value to offer, and you have time to do that. And that's really fantastic from the buyer point of view.
It is, and it's usually when you have the open house, usually on a weekend or something, if the house is as good as you say, and usually on Monday we're reviewing offers and seeing who's gonna be getting. And a lot of the times, even though you're the highest price, you may not be the winning bid, because there's a lot of other factors that the sellers are looking at in those bids.
They sure are. They want to understand the flexibility around closing time, what the closing date, whether or not that is a quick closing that they need, or perhaps they need a prolonged closing date because their next property is not ready, where they're going is going to come along later, and they need a little bit of cushion. So there's all those kinds of factors. It may also impact whether it's a cash deal. We still are well over the national average with regard to the number of cash deals, and in certain price tiers, as you go higher in our market, that percentage of cash deals only goes up. And there is some discussion about whether the overall economic environment right now, inflation and interest rates, are going to have a moderating effect. Even the stock market, obviously, and people's stock portfolios have an impact on what they can free up as cash. And so it remains to be seen how those big economic trends may impact our market. But in the data we have, which is coming off the winter months, we've still seen a very high percentage of cash deals, and we still see a lot of demand here in the Naples and greater Southwest Florida area to move ahead with real estate transactions. Now, you mentioned earlier another whole part of our market, and it's a really important one right now, and that is the new construction market. And I remember taking folks, again, maybe within the last even 6 to 8 months, and builders saying, if you want to start now in a conversation with us or to try to get to a contract, you're probably talking about 18 months plus till you can get to a new home that you can live in. And that's just not something everybody has time to do. What are you hearing now?
And typically, before all of this happened, typically you from the time you signed a contract to the time you got the key was around 6 to 8 months. Maybe sometimes a little less, usually not anymore, but then that started to creep up and up and up, and it got to that peak, and a lot of things were driving that, materials, labor, being able to get all of that.
Well, and just overselling to plan.
Yeah, I
that
mean,
was huge for builders in 2021 in particular.
Yes.
They had 200% and 300% of the offers and contracts that they thought they would sell.
Right.
They were getting way ahead of themselves.
And then the home office said, "Whoa,
Corporate.
time out. We can't do this. We're gonna sell everything this year. We're not gonna have anything next year." So they started pushing stuff out. Well, now it's starting to moderate slightly, not a lot, but slightly. We're starting to see some of that come back, drop down a little bit. We're not anywhere near the 6-month mark.
I've heard more like 14, maybe.
Maybe 14.
Target 14 months, depending on whether a builder is really talking to you about getting the contract when there's dirt that's going to be staked out, or whether some of the builders are taking matters into their hands to control that timeline. And with some scenarios we see with some communities in the new construction area is that a builder will choose the architectural options, whether you're getting extended lanais and impact resistant glass and extra garage bay, whatever it might be.
Right.
They're also, in many cases, creating the interior design packages based on what they know historically buyers always pick anyway.
People want, right.
And that they can get.
Right.
That they can order a floor and a cabinet and a countertop and not be shocked that they can't get it for 18 months,
Right.
but that they know they have some clout to get those materials. And some of them aren't even offering the buyer the contract until they've pulled the permit, done all of those choices which go into the permit.
And poured the slab.
And poured the slab. And so then they may say to you 10 to 12 months from then.
Right.
But they're already probably 5 or 6 months into their
They're already
process.
into it. They've got the permit. They've got all the surveying done. They've got the plumbing under the ground done. So they're quite farther ahead than just starting. Oh, you want that house on that lot? Now we have to pick out your choices, what kind of floor you want. Do you want an extended lanai? Now we go out to the county and get a building permit, and so that was stretched out. So some builders have done that to try to speed things up. The good thing is that you get in faster. The bad thing is you don't get to choose the tile than the cabinets that you want. So.
Right, and it may be that on a certain lot, then also a certain floor plan has been defined and the permit pulled, so
Right.
you're not going to switch to an alternate floor plan
Right.
on that particular home site in that community.
Right.
So you give up a little bit on choice. Often you can actually find what you want because they're doing things that
Right.
people like.
They're not going to put stuff in there that nobody wants. No,
options.
They don't. And so those that's one way that some builders are doing it.
Now there's another way that other builders have done that I think takes customers aback a little bit if they're not used to the Florida market and just how tough it's been to deliver a new home. And that is that when people are building in Florida, they expect that they're going to have a pool. Can you talk about pools?
There are. Most single-family homes here are either have pools or built with pools. Sometimes people don't want a pool. They don't want the expense of the pool. There's a community pool, and that's fine, and they don't put in a pool. But most single-family homes have pools. But because of the supply, demand, and everything else that has gone on, some builders have decided that they are not going to offer a pool with your new construction because it's harder for them to control the closing when they're dealing with that particular sub. And when you get a permit for a home and that includes a pool, that all has to be done. You can't say, well, the house is done, but the pool is another 2 or 3 months down the road. You can't do that. So they've said, no pool. You can put in a pool after you close, and then, so I mean, there's good and bad to that as well. But sometimes people are not thrilled to hear that. Hopefully,
not expecting that
they're not
disruption
expecting
later.
that exactly. And if you're seasonal, maybe you can have the pool done when you're back up north or someplace, and there's less disruption. But usually they weren't expecting that, and hopefully that changes back again soon if the building demand eases a bit. But for right now, there's several builders that have said we're putting a hold on adding the pool to the home.
Absolutely. And so I think part of the message is that there are all these different flavors along the continuum of how new construction companies and builders are trying to grapple with supply chain issues, incredible demand, the availability of subs and availability of materials, etc. They don't all do it one way. And so depending on your situation and what's important to you, what timeline commitments you have to make, or what flexibility you have, again, working with your real estate professional who is in this market and knows those micro trends. Not everybody is asking you to put the pool in later. If that's critical, we can help take you to communities where
They're still
you
doing
can
it.
still get the pool.
Yep.
If that's not super critical to you on your timeline and or you're happy to do it later, that's great. And then that opens up another variety of communities that we can go to. And it's a similar set of choices to what amenities do you need in a community and what house product. Do you need a coach home? Do you need a single family home? Do you need a villa? All of those things that go into making the right purchase and not feeling later like, I wish I knew I had more choices.
Well, that's the other
thing. And you
thing.
need
Yes.
professional, support and a resource team, including people who are really paying attention to the market, which is what we do every day.
We do it every day, and we've had people that have researched the market. They know what's going on down here, and then they come down, and we take them to some place. I didn't know this was here. Well, it's hard to know.
You can't know everything.
You can't know everything. We don't know everything,
Never.
but what we've been to a lot of the communities that are, and there are a lot of new communities, and we know who's just about sold out and who's not. Maybe there's a resale in there that we can
Close to new, or
close to new. Or
that's a great point.
So there's a lot of things that living and working in this market every day does help.
So I think those are some of the big topics that come up, the questions we get asked about what's changing, and there are these changes that are evolving in our market.
Right.
My message to you would be, don't go it alone. You don't need to, and it's probably not wise to. Sometimes people are just determined, that they're going to, as you said, come into a market and figure it out. And again, that can be a stressful process, and you may overlook the right choice for you. And so we're here. We're ready to help. If you have a question and you're ready to do that research, you're ready to make that move across town or into our state, whatever it might be, we've recognized that it's a big commitment for you, and we want to help you get all the information you can to make a great decision and enjoy a beautiful Southwest Florida lifestyle.
And it
sooner
is.
rather than later.
Yes, absolutely. Why wait?
That's right. I think that's the other thing. Why wait? You may want to, but you may find that with the way the market is going in general, the longer you wait, the more challenging it is, and maybe the more you actually gave up in terms of your purchasing power. So everybody's decision on that's an individual one, but we're happy to work through it with people.
Absolutely.
And if you found value in these updates that we're sharing with you today, certainly encourage you to please give this video a thumbs up. And let us know that you liked it. And if you can, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And we also encourage you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe and then ring the bell, turn on notifications, you'll know every time we post a new episode to this channel. And we want you to be in the know with great information in a really timely way so that we can help you make a wonderful decision and start living a great Southwest Florida lifestyle.
Yes.
But I mean, people hesitate to subscribe, don't you think?
They do. The cost of it is so prohibitive. Oh, wait a minute.
It is?
No,
Wait a minute.
It's free.
It is
It's free to subscribe, and we don't hit you with emails.
We
and
do not send you a newsletter.
We don't send you
No.
a newsletter. We don't call you up on the phone and say, hey, we got a new.
No.
None of that. So
No. That's not how it works.
that's not.
But it's there for you, and it's an opportunity to get at the front of the line and have new information as soon as it's available. And things are changing in the market, so you want to be in the know before you strike out and start making your plans for residential real estate, and we're here to help. So we look forward to doing that. Now, we touched on a number of key topics today. There is data to back that up, and the ever-changing trends in the market are something we report on a lot. So don't leave because you haven't heard the last of the situations of what's happening for sellers and buyers. I want you to go to the upper right hand corner and look at our latest market update video, and that will help you to make sure you have all the information you need and have a wonderful day.
Bye now.